in your life without any idea of how it was going to end? Well, that could be the definition of marriage, for God's sake. But it's not in this case. Oh my, Catherine, stop. It's not in this case. It was starting Let's Get Writing. I was on a journey to figure out how to write a book. And without a whole lot of guidance, but I bought a lot of books on the topic. And I asked a lot of questions. And then I had this thought, why don't I ask a lot of authors? What was their journey? How did they get there? What were the hard things? What were the things they learned? What were the things they would never do again? And thus was developed my beautiful show that I love so much, Let's Get Writing. And this is actually rolling into, I'm not great at counting, but I'm thinking year 4. And what started as a show that I thought I'd have maybe 8 or 12 interviews in 1 year, and that would pretty much cover it, has really grown. And I'm not sure when it's going to end, because now I'm doing a podcast as well. And it's kind of branching off into other things. I keep notes on all my guests, and I'm putting together a bit of a journal and a book myself. So, as I said, have you ever started something without knowing how it was going to end? I'm right in the middle of it right now. So, this being January, I wanted to just take a few minutes to jump in. My theme for the month is new beginnings, and this is a new seasonal beginning for the show. And we'll be having some great guests coming on. I have featured in the past authors from Newfoundland, from the UK, from the United States. And it's a constant juggle to find how I'm going to fit everybody in. And I certainly, living and having grown up in Newfoundland, I certainly do want to give the authors here special opportunities to be on the show. And I was surprised at how many authors and how many successful publishers we have in our small province. If you aren't from here, you might not know that we are less than 500,000 people on the island of Newfoundland. But we seem to be a creative bunch in terms of music, art, and the written word. But haven't we always been storytellers here? I think that we can safely lay claim to the fact that we are some of the world's best storytellers. And people who subscribe to magazines like Down Homer and who read the books that are published by the homegrown publishers here know that. Newfoundlanders are great at telling stories. They're also great at traveling the world and doing interesting things. Anyway, that's what this show is about, and I hope you'll join me for this season. Now, I just want to share a few things with you, like what is on my nightstand. Yeah, what has been on my nightstand? What books? Want to know? Okay, I'm going to share a few. Here we go. Aha. Writing Down the Bones. Another book about writing. Obsessive, I guess. This is not a new one, but I'm really enjoying it. And I think it's a 25th edition, a republication, but the information in here by Natalie Goldberg is amazing. And also, I tucked a few recipes in here. Why the heck not? Multitask. Read about writing down the bones and cook some bones or something. Anyway, I am enjoying this book. So I'm doing a bit of education. All right, this one, as many of my books, came by way of a friend who had read it, enjoyed it. And we've been reading a lot of Karen Swan's books. And she goes and travels the world. She writes 2 books a year. And she really gets into the culture of where she is. I think, and my friend had this idea, not me, so I can't take credit, but I think it's a brilliant idea. We should try to get this lady to set one of her books in Newfoundland. I think it would be rich with material. Do you hear that, Karen Swan? Come to Newfoundland, immerse yourself in our culture, and write a book. You could do it anytime if you're here, summer or winter. It'll still be great. Okay, what's next? This one's under my tree. The Queen's Gambit, and a gift from the daughters, because I love that series on Netflix. And the curiosity is, how does a book go from a book to a series on Netflix, and how much is it like the book, and so on. So if you haven't seen the series, I really enjoyed it, and it is about chess and about a prodigy in that arena. But I'm looking forward to reading this. And another one I don't have is on my e-reader, but Virgin River. And that's more of a, I don't know, kind of a homesteader romance, small community story, and written by Robin Carr. And she wrote those books, oh, what, in the she started in the 2000s, early 2000s. But it was picked up by Netflix a few seasons ago, and it's going to be back again for the third season next fall. So think about it. How books can be written in like the span of the life of a book is amazing. And even sometimes the writing of a book or even a film, how long it takes, and then it's so relevant when it finally comes to us. So Virgin River, I very much enjoyed the Netflix series. So I'm going to read some of the books and see how did that start. It should be pretty cool. And of course, do you know who this guy is? Ernest Hemingway, a troubled. Oh, he was an alcoholic for sure, but he was also a very, very revered author. And these are the short stories, so they're easy for me to read and pass out at night. And I gotta say, like, we all read The Old Man and the Sea and so on, probably dreaded it going through high school. But it's interesting how he writes. I feel like they're like run-on sentences and things like that. And I'm still looking at it going, So I'm into it. We'll see what I think of it on the other end. And because I've been doing a lot of interviews and learning techniques to interview people and hopefully improving my skills at interviewing people, and the goal is to get the best stories out of them to you, I thought I would read about some people who do this. And so this is Eleanor Wattell, and she's done a show, Writers and Company, on CBC for many years. And so it's a summary of different people that she's interviewed. So that's one of them. I've got another one home from another person who, gone from my mind. But anyway, so I'm reading 2 books like this right now. That's on my nightstand. I still have room to put my phone and a glass of water, but not a lot of room. Okay, and here's one. That's a little more work. The Untethered Soul. Again, I got it for Christmas. I always talk about great books you can get for Christmas. And this I'm excited about. I'm right in the process of doing kind of a wrap on 2020. And I start these things. I don't always get through it, but I'm pretty determined this year. I've been going through all my email to somewhat create 2020. And I'm doing that because Suzanne Lyons, who did an interview with me recently, is doing a workshop, Launch the Future, this Saturday. So I have to have it all finished and done. It's nothing like a deadline to get you moving. And so I'm going through, and as I go through and clear out junk email, I'm finding emails that I did not even know I had. I mean, this is the way it is, isn't it? You get all these emails in, and they're coming, and if you're distracted. I've missed some. I'm actually 11 months behind on responding to one of them that I responded to last night. Crazy. Never saw it. So what is the message in that? We got to get rid of the junk out of our inboxes, and probably do that once a month. Go in and clean it out of it and see what you may have missed. You may have missed something important along the way. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. But it kind of goes hand in hand with this, The Untethered Soul, Practices to Journey Beyond Yourself by Michael Singer. I had to look up about him because I thought, how interesting. And he's 74, I think, right now. He was born in 1947. He's a best-selling author, a meditation center founder, but a former software programmer. So talk about the path that your life can take. He founded the Temple of the Universe, a long-established yoga and meditation center for people of any religion or belief to experience inner peace. He offers courses, and he has this. So let me I opened up earlier, and there was a page that I'm just not, okay, stop it, Catherine. Just grab a page and read something. Okay. All right. When you notice you're reacting to an event you don't like, ask yourself, is this worth closing over? So I'm not quite sure what he means by closing over. He's saying if you really want to stay open, pay attention when you feel love and enthusiasm. Okay. Then ask yourself why you can't feel this all the time. Truly, why does it have to go away? The answer is obvious. It only goes away if you choose to close. So I guess that's what it's about, closing off from love and enthusiasm about things. Okay, so that I could relate certainly to Let's Get Writing. I have a lot of love and enthusiasm for that, and I want to hold it. I want to pay attention to what makes me feel that way, what authors, what stories, what things I can share. And I'll tell you one thing that really helps me is feedback. If you like something, if you can let me know, or if you subscribe, or if you share what I'm doing, I really appreciate that, because when you work in this medium that I'm working in, like I'm here in my little studio by myself, and I'm talking to the dot on my camera. And a lot of the work that goes into this show is time that I spend thinking and reading and, reaching out to people. But one of the ways I prepare is I basically pre-interview. I quite often read the books. I try to read the books through. Sometimes if there's not time, depending on the advance on the interview and when I get the material, I will at least read chunks of it because I want to have a feel for my guest. I really do want to honestly do a good job that way. And I feel it's an integrity thing with me to understand their writing and what gift they've brought to the world before I interview them, and how I evolve and develop my questions for them. So it's a fair bit of preparation for the actual half-hour live show, which goes, I think it's 27 minutes, and it just goes like that. But in order to get that 27 minutes, it's like the tip of the iceberg. It's the stuff I do beforehand to be able to come in and talk to my guest and hopefully ask the right questions to make it interesting for you. So this is a guided journal. I want to look a bit more into my motivations, why I do what I do, and how can life be more enriching, and what things can I do to find what's important to me. So I'm really excited about that. So I have shared some of the books on my nightstand with you. I'd love to know what are the books on your nightstand, and you can comment below and share that with me. If there's a particularly good book, let me know, because I'd love to read it. From doing this show, there have been pleasant surprises, and certainly one of them is reading books that I sometimes would not expect to read. Oh, I can think of one right now, Terry Ryan's book about folk hockey film and folklore. It's over there or something. Can't remember the name, but I mean, that's not a book I'd normally pick up, but I really enjoyed it. And there would be other ones, different topics. Some of them would be historic. I read one on Brigus, and these are not books I'd always pick up, but what a surprise when you get books and then you get to talk to the people who write them. And I've had some wonderful, pleasant surprises, and it's broadened my mind on what I like to read or what I'm open to read, which is pretty much almost anything. I hope you're reading. I hope you're enjoying that world, because we can get really caught up in watching things, but sometimes to sit with a book and contemplate the words and just let that resonate with you and just get lost. You can get totally lost. A quick short story. I was in Halifax working, and I would run home lunchtimes for lunch, and I had a book I was reading, Stephen King. Da 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 da, The Shining. That's not my type of book, but I was reading it so engrossed on my lunch hours. Anyway, someone came to the door, totally lost it, threw the book, screamed. I thought the end of the, I thought that he had arrived. Johnny had arrived for me. Anyway, like that's the way books can be when you get engaged with them. And I always like to think, and it was a gift I feel I brought well to my children, was reading to them when they were little and making books come alive and instilling in them a joy of the way you can just take a book and make the world feel right. And you'll always be entertained. Like there's that thing, what book would you take with you to a desert island? I don't know. I'm going to say my Kindle book. Because I have access to everything that way. Too hard to do. But I hope you're enjoying reading, and please check out the show. Send me ideas and suggestions for authors. I don't care where in the world they are. It's helpful if they speak English. And that's about it. Okay, for my first show of the year, and I'll talk to you later. And thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for supporting the show. I'll see you next week on Wednesday with a guest. Bye for now.